drive home the point of the pillar. As something that you define at the very beginning of the project, it should inform the design on all levels. It's a tool that will create cohesive design and allow you to easily make decisions on how to effectively design the game.
Yeah, sorry for just randomly disappearing. I just wanted to check if I could fix this chat or not.
To avoid the pitfalls
Doesn't look like it's working.
As you continue to refine and design. No design is perfect and no design is static. Things will always change, but with smartly created pillars, even the inevitable evolution of a project as it develops will allow the evolution to remain non-destructive and keep the game design moving smoothly to implementation. And that's it for me today. Thanks for watching.
Okay. That's more or less like.
I hope that you
found this. I'll see this game design pillar. Okay, so this is the same art because that pillars thing looks the same. Did he use the same image as the YouTube video? Probably. That. Now, yeah, let's watch this quick one.
Before we begin, I would like to welcome our channel's new patron, Luciano Strati. Thanks for your support, it means a lot. Hope you will keep enjoying the content. Now, in the last video we have talked about establishing the project vision. Today, we shall talk about core design pillars, what your game pretty much literally stands on. Let's say you know what kind of experience you want to achieve, and you think about adding two mechanics that contradict each other, yet both fit the vision. Which one to choose? It's not the only type of situation where they're needed, but this is where design pillars come in. Look at it this way. If vision serves to focus your overall mindset, then core pillars focus your design space. You can check if any particular feature you want to add fits your pillars to know if you should be working on it or not. There is only one real rule when formulating pillars. These should be the things that you consider to be important for the project, the values you want to pursue. What those are, be it gameplay, motions, principles, story, or some totally abstract notions, that's up to you. The amount of pillars is also up to you, but try to keep it reasonable. You need at least one. I would say 3 is a good and classic amount. 5 can be fine, and 7 is at the boundaries. Definitely don't create more pillars than that. The best way to visualize all this is through a Venn diagram. Place your features and mechanics there to see if they fit. For example, the core pillars of Assassin's Creed are related to its gameplay, combat,
okay, so stealth,
navigation, and stealth. And if you break down the features of, let's say, Assassin's Creed 2, you can see where each falls in this diagram. You might also note that there are features that don't fit any particular pillar. That's fine, pillars are a guideline and not a strict requirement. But if a mechanic doesn't fit a pillar, you need to make sure there's a good enough reason for it to exist and for you to invest your time and budget into it. It might be important for your character, or the game world, or for a particular story moment, or some other reason. However, if you have too many things not fitting your pillars, then that's a warning sign that your project is unfocused. For another example, let's take a quick look at Diablo 3's 7 design pillars. Approachable, powerful heroes, highly customizable.
This is Diablo 3's design pillars. Approachable, powerful hero. Like, this is what I'd imagine design pillars needing to be. Like, I guess 1 to 2 words, and then you break it down even more. So approachable, powerful heroes, highly customizable, great item game, and playable, strong setting, collaborative multiplayer. So I'm wondering if this is from them directly, or if this is the YouTuber's interpretation of the design pillars. Maybe we can find it online. We'll do some research there.
Strong setting, and cooperative multiplayer. As you can see, these are much broader and in some cases more abstract, but still are used as the basis of the design decisions made. What should be noted is that you need to describe exactly what each pillar means to you. For example, if we take the approachable pillar, everybody can have a different understanding what that means. So the team made sure to clarify a number of points, like approachable doesn't equal simplistic or shallow. Approachable means do more with less. Depth is better than complexity. Easy to learn, impossible to master. All this is then used as a way to measure your potential decisions. What paths should be followed, and not only what particular features and mechanics have to be added, but how are they actually designed as well. Because core pillars are not your design. They're your goals and values. Used to make sure you make solid decisions and what
goals
your
and
game
values,
will be
that's
rested
good to
upon,
remember.
but are not an instruction what to do exactly. And during development you can still make assumptions that in the end don't turn out the way you've planned. It's natural and it happens. At any rate, it is still imperative to establish core pillars, which usually goes hand in hand with defining core gameplay, one influencing the other. However, it will be really wise to finish defining the pillars before you finalize your core gameplay loop, so you make sure that your main mechanics also fit. Take a look at your favorite games. Try to define what purpose the design decisions have, create a Venn diagram for visual aid, and you'll find that most of them revolve around several important for the game notions. It's a good exercise to get, so to speak, the feel for
We got the general gist of that.
pillars. And next time we
Now, yeah, this one I'm going to be interested in watching next.
should talk about gameplay in more detail. Until then, if you have any questions, write
About the 7 core Bioware design pillars. So I wonder, I guess, is that all Bioware? Or is it just Mass Effect? I wonder. But let me look at this up. Diablo design pillars. The 7 pillars, pure Diablo. Okay, so I guess looks like it's true based on what that video was saying. So approachable, so they certainly succeeded with this one, though many of our most heated pregame arguments were about dumbed down versus accessible. There's this design pillar. Okay, so there is another GitHub resource for design pillars. Let's give this. Oh, it looks the same as the one we were looking for, actually. Did Diablo 4 change the design pillars? Back this article here. 7 design lessons from Diablo, blah, blah, blah. No. So my opinion of what the major topics of focus would be if I was designing the next improvement. 4 years ago. So yeah, before Diablo 4 came out. So depth, replay value, balance, challenge. I think that D4 Reddit population is a bit biased and not everyone who plays Diablo is a hardcore player, so the dev team should take that into consideration, work with the player distribution. Okay. But yeah, this is how I imagine writing my design pillars. I don't think I'm going to have 7. I don't think I need 7. 3 will probably be enough. If we can manage more, sure, why not? But let's not get ahead of ourselves. That's going to be a good reference for us. So let's jump into this Mass Effect or BioWare video. It's going to be a long one, but let's vibe on it.
What exactly is the right way to think about a BioWare game? I don't mean exactly how you think about a BioWare game, or even how I think about them, but what's the best way for anyone to think about them? Granted, any consideration we give to BioWare's catalog will have its share of subjectivity, but what if we made a best attempt at
I just want to get a sense of how loud this video is if you are listening to this. The loudest thing, so sorry, I'm playing back.
objectivity? What would that look like? Presumably, it would start by naming.
Okay. That's decently loud. I'm gonna make this a little louder for you guys. Alright, there we go.
The key components of BioWare games across time and across the different titles, so that in the future we would know at a glance what to look for. We would take stock of the most crucial and unique aspects of BioWare games and use that as a rubric of sorts, or at least as a loose guide, to knowing what makes a BioWare game a BioWare game. And
yeah, Mass Effect was a good series. I didn't play Andromeda, but I played the original 3.
what that game has to excel
And I had a lot of good
at
time
in order
with
to
it.
be
I had a
great
good time.
BioWare game. Hello and welcome to the Exalted March. Today, we're going to get critical. I don't mean critical in the connotative sense of the word when you're negatively picking something apart. I mean criticism in the technical sense of the word, taking apart all of the pieces and analyzing them individually. In this case, specifically, the pieces we're looking at are the elements of BioWare games that make them the most BioWare-ish, if that makes sense. There are 7 components I'd like to discuss with you today, and at the end of the video, you should let me know if you think I got those right, or perhaps you would have compiled your own list. But essentially, these are the 7 core components of BioWare games that I...
So, you know, just thinking about BioWare games in a vacuum, let's think about when did this video come out, just so we can get a perspective of like the context that he has. So 5 years ago, you know, definitely Anthem had come out. We had Dragon Age. We had a bunch of stuff. Let me. So let's think out loud here. So it's a role-playing game. Role-playing game. So we got things like Dragon Age. We got things like Mass Effect. Anthem, I'm not too sure. I never played that one. Dragon Age, I'm not super familiar with, but you know, it seems to be like your typical RPG. So definitely something about story and characters and stuff like that, like choices and things like that. Something with combat. I'm not sure what their pillar would be for combat. Obviously, it would be from game to game, I suppose. But the overarching pillar for BioWare would have to involve story and characters, branching narrative or evolving narratives or something like that. Let's see what he starts with.
Kicking off number 1, character creation.
Okay, character creation.
This one might seem obvious, but it's not to be overlooked. Character creation lays the foundation for a player-driven story. It frames the entire narrative around someone you, the player, creates. In that way, the story is yours, and uniquely yours right from the start. You can choose a gender, race, in some sense age, and even to be non-human in some cases. You can select from and tinker with a multitude of options, sliders, and presets to make your character appear quite handsome, or unfortunately strange. But either way, you get to take responsibility for whatever that character is, down to how they look. But it's not just about looks. Character creation also encompasses character starting background. Sometimes that's merely tied to the choice of...
So yeah, that makes sense. Like, I guess that I'm, you know, watching a little bit of Tim Kaine. You know, that's one of the aspects that he says kind of pushes RPGs like the full context of the genre, or at least the way he perceives it. Character creator, where you're able to create your own character, give it its own class, subclass, background, information like that. So yeah, you definitely have that with BioWare games. You have that with Bethesda games. But you don't have it in things like Witcher 3, for example. You know, you play as Geralt. You know, you can customize, give him haircuts and stuff like that, but you already have your story, you know, what kind of character you are and stuff like that. You have choices in dialogue and stuff, but you don't get that fulfillment. You know, Baldur's Gate 3 also a good example, just because it's based from Dungeons and Dragons, you know.
Class, such as Mage in Dragon Age Origins, or any class in Star Wars The Old Republic, but it could be a combination of backstories regardless of class, such as the 2 profile history choices that you get to make in Mass Effect 1. The choice of character background can include a unique prologue quest like in Origins, a unique side quest and dialogue options like in Mass Effect, or an entirely different main quest, such as in The Old Republic. Either way, this foundation of player choice leads to unique story content, major and minor, and that is chiefly one of the most unique aspects about BioWare games. I think it's valuable as an illustration to call out for each of our major categories a best-in-class example from the BioWare catalog. So, for character creation...
Yeah, with the character creator in Mass Effect, taking away all appearance editing and stuff like that, I think the backgrounds that you got, like, he was just showing them, but they didn't seem very interesting. Or, you know, again, I'm not an uber RPG person. I don't play multiple playthroughs unless I really like it. So I never played more than just like one kind of character.
Select Dragon Age Origins. This selection is owing primarily to the namesake of the game itself. The origin stories in Dragon Age Origins are still, even today, some of the most unique content in gaming. Having the ability to play several different unique prologues based on your choice of character and not strictly decided by class, for instance there are 2 separate origins for Dwarf and Elf, was unprecedented and still currently unrivaled. For this reason, along with the other race or class specific options you see throughout the game and the general robustness of the character creation system itself, I take Origins as best in class here. Number 2 is dialogue choices. Now it's worth noting that this
and dialogue choices, again, I didn't really play Dragon Age, but I did buy a 360, so I definitely want to be playing Dragon Age at some point. I don't know if I want to play Veilguard. But with Mass Effect, yeah, you had like the typical dialogue options, and you had Paragon, and I can't remember the good one. Or was Paragon the good one? I think Paragon was the good one. What was the bad one? Paragon and something else. You'll say it, I'm sure.
Number 1. My defense is twofold. First, the order of these components isn't exactly strict. I'm trying to approach them logically in terms of their foundational importance, but they're all crucial. That's the point overall, is that you really couldn't have a BioWare game without any of these. Secondly, while dialogue choice is probably my personal favorite thing in any game, period, for BioWare games, the element of agency is foundationally dependent upon the character creation. So I take that number 1 if I'm ordering them. But I digress. Dialogue choice is still incredibly important to the BioWare RPG experience. It frames so much.
I think that was one of the things that we guessed when you were first thinking about the design pillars for BioWare games. I think you said something about decisions.
Much of everything else, including character development, empathy for NPCs, and really the overall story as
Renegade, that's the name of it. You got Paragon and Renegade.
As a whole, since the story is delivered in scenes where,
I guess because of how Mass Effect 3 ended, you know, those choices didn't really end up meaning anything. I guess on a global level, but you know, where you're on a very local person-to-person, conversation-to-conversation level, it definitely had an impact. But like the major decisions and how it impacted the game as a whole didn't really matter.
Thankfully, we the player are not passive, but active as our words and actions shape the narrative. We can go all the way back to the Aurora Engine RPGs of BioWare's early history to see dialogue choice having always been a key aspect of how they tell stories, but it's maintained its importance even as technology and player expectations about cinematic quality have evolved. We have used unvoiced protagonists in dialogue trees or branches, and now we have multiple voice actors per protagonist, fully cinematic cutscene direction, and a dialogue wheel that's meant to capture the impulsive and sometimes imprecise nature of real conversation. We can take issue with the limitations inherent to both the new and old approaches, but the key aim is still the same, to give the player the feeling that they are causing things to happen by saying what they want. You roleplay, you take the action most suited to your character, and then your actions have effects, and that's primarily how the story unfolds. The advancement of the story is, in essence, contingent upon you expressing yourself, albeit at times in the limited frame that you're given. Plenty of other RPGs have dialogue choice, but BioWare's commitment to balance the breadth of choices with compelling acting and satisfactory cinematic aesthetic gives you a different sense of immersion than any other game.
You want Mariana's little boy to grow up without a mommy, Shepard? Thermal clips on the ground now. Power cells too.
Is that it?
What?
Vasir, I sacrificed hundreds of human lives to save the Destiny Ascension. I personally destroyed the last Rachni Queen. So for your sake, I hope your escape plan doesn't hinge on me hesitating to shoot a damn hostage.
You're bluffing.
That's intense.
Now, Liara.
It's satisfying to see your actions play out in a way that's highly cinematic and yet still tailored by player choice. Furthermore, the robustness of dialogue choices is an entertaining aspect to explore all on its own. You don't just choose from a set number of options that are presented universally to all characters, but often choose from choices that are specific to the character that you build. You have choices that are dependent on attributes.
You also have this a little bit in this new game that I'm playing, the Nobody Wants to Die game, where it has a very I would assume a very simplified dialogue system where it uses the D-pad for the choices. So you really only would ultimately have 4 different choices, but based on choices that you made previously, new choices might open up and unlock when you do it. And that's pretty cool. I think it promotes the replayability. You want to see what kind of other outcomes that you'll have.
Checks like being able to choose a dialogue option because you have a high enough cunning rating, or on class.
But yeah, that's the one thing it's missing is it's not an RPG. It's not trying to be an RPG. The Nobody Wants to Die game. It's a very kind of walking simulator, kind of detective noir kind of game. It's not an RPG, so it's not going to unlock dialogue options based off of any kind of stat or anything like that.
Like having special dialogue choices as a mage. You can also make special dialogue choices based on race, or sometimes less often based on gender. You have certain options opened up to you because of equipment that you have on, or who you have in your party, or what alignment you've chosen, or because of special abilities or powers you've upgraded. And you can lie. Although it hasn't been as present as it was in earlier titles, BioWare has been known to allow the player to experiment with truthfulness and lying, often garnering satisfying results. Giving the player the option to not be truthful is more complicated than it seems on its surface, since if offered consistently, it would eventually lead to the player being able to completely break the plot, but when used sparingly and strategically in just the right spots, it can lend a sense of naturalism to a scene that may need it in particular. For a best in class here, I'm going to select Dragon Age Origins again. I actually think Dragon Age Inquisition is underrated in this category because it does have a fair bit of unique dialogue choices.
I guess Dragon Age Origins is a must-play at this point.
That can be unlocked, but overall, the greatest breadth and width of dialogue options probably has to go to Origins. Origins allowed for an incredible amount of latitude in role-playing and gave an exhaustive amount of choices without making you feel overwhelmed or like you had to go down a list and check off each one of them. The dialogue choices felt broad and natural all at once. Number 3 is your party. Again, this is one that could have easily been put at the top of the list. The party is essential to the BioWare RPG experience. It's arguably one of the things they still do universally better than everyone else. Even when BioWare falters in the eyes of the general gaming public, like with Dragon Age 2 or Mass Effect Andromeda, there is invariably a bright point in the form of a few cast members everyone seems to love, like Varric in DA2 or Drac in Andromeda. The party is the quintessential BioWare element that taps into your empathy and attaches you to the world through some of its most colorful and endearing inhabitants. In all BioWare RPGs, you have several party members, and the group you get as a whole can always be taken as diverse and unique. You'll get all sorts of classes, all sorts of temperaments, all sorts of backstories, alignments, religions, fictional nationalities and races, and even some various levels of trustworthiness. Characters all have their own unique stories, and specifically their own unique quests. They develop as individuals, and although they can be quite different from your protagonist, if you establish and grow a good relationship with them, you can often influence who they become as people. Outside of your one-on-one interactions, companions will also interact with one another, as in Garrus and Vega swapping war stories and trying to out-brag each other during some downtime on the Normandy in Mass Effect 3.
But if you're suggesting I'm scared, game on there.
Lola, say hi to everybody, Lola. How about you? That's the best cat in the world right there. Just letting you know.
Vega.
Age before wisdom.
Okay.
Or Alistair and Morrigan bickering humorously throughout your journeys in Dragon Age Origins, just to name a couple of examples. You can ask party members for their input during crucial story moments, or they can also interject at times to volunteer their own views if it's on a topic they feel particularly passionate about. Wider gameplay can also be affected by their presence, such as their ability to unlock new sections of a map, or to perform certain puzzle-solving activities. Best in class for this category goes to Mass Effect 2. Mass Effect 2 had a large, incredibly well-written cast that is also mostly
Mass Effect 2 was really
optional, and also entirely perishable. Your entire squad, Shepard for that matter, can die in Mass Effect 2. That's not only unique among BioWare titles, it's unprecedented as a whole. You can get the entire cast killed and essentially lose the game, but still complete it. Squad mates can live or die based on their relationship with Shepard and whether or not they're loyal, but can also live or die based on your planning of the final mission. Neither of these are a given and not necessarily single-faceted either. Despite common perception, loyalty missions are not the only factor in loyalty and
I wonder what people have said in the chat. Not chat, the comments of the video. Next one, add the following. Add the following. A cataclysmic threat is a play. Dragon Age 2 breaks with this.
Me too. For instance, Tally's loyalty can be lost even after successfully completing her loyalty mission if you choose the wrong dialogue option following a conflict that she has with Legion. And Zaid's loyalty can be won even after what appears to be the deciding moment in his loyalty mission. For that matter, squadmate loyalty doesn't just affect that individual squadmate survival chances, but also it can affect the likelihood of other squadmates surviving as well. For example, choosing someone who is ill-suited to lead the second fire team on the final mission gives other squad mates in that fire team a lower chance of surviving.
Okay, I think enough. I think we can write our own. At least start. Like, I'm trying to think how we should write this again, because I know the first pillar. I want it to be about sound, like sound as like a tool, or like sound as I don't know. I don't like that phrasing too much, but we'll have to just deal with it. What would be the second pillar? Like a person. The examples that we got were like, be like, 2D puzzle platformer, for example. The puzzle platformer. We're gonna have to revise these pillars, I think, because not too clear. Maybe I don't know. Would it be counterproductive where like your character can't see and it goes based on echolocation to have a pillar called show not tell? Like, a show not tell environment design, or should show not tell as one? I don't like a 2D puzzle platformer as a explicit pillar, That doesn't really make too much sense to me. Are there any other examples we can look at? Game design pillars. Or goals. I think we read this one, right? Why do we need them? Good and bad game pillar. So a good game pillar complies with the elements stated before. It marks a clear creative direction for the team, establishes goals for the game, states what core elements should be featured, and defines an experience for the player. So sound is a tool, show not tell. Of unpacking the design pillars of a chill puzzle game. PC talk, last month's big show, blah blah blah. Okay, real explicit breakdown. That hour long.
Most notably, displayed unpacking. Oh, cool. Thank you. Well, I'm going to roll the trailer anyway as a little refresh. Consequences to player actions. Those things are usually.
So I'm gonna have something similar. There's not gonna be any score or a timer. Probably no dialogue. It's gonna be fail states and consequences, but nothing like persistent.
Important components. Stay with me. As we week and then started prototyping. Information like The Sims. By giving existing be a trap designers can fall into without realizing when we were first. So in trying to get to the heart of unpacking, we came unpacking.
Okay, this is theirs. Contemplation, discovery, and expression. So, found as a tool, show not tell, fear of the unknown. Are those strong enough pillars to kind of support the game that I'm trying to make? Because, you know, it also really depends on the mechanic, the core mechanic of like the echo relocation and everything like that, and how we even portray that players. I feel like I feel like I shouldn't be diving to. How do I add cover image, title, sticky table comment? Project Echo. Focus on following pillars, guide, action. Notice tool. Core mechanic. Audio. The use of sound from player. Sound from the player and his environment. Navigate. Environment. Solve puzzles. Avoid danger. Is there a setting where I don't have to hyphenate words automatically? Help. I don't know what the next sentence should really be for that. But maybe we can just stick with like one sentence. So show not tell. Since we rely on echo relocation to expose the environment, the player needs sure that world is readable. Because this, like, I want to rely on shapes, clear silhouettes. I spell silhouettes correctly? Missing an H. So we need to be clear and instrumental when it comes to use the shapes and silhouettes. Redundant here. We want to be clear when it comes to shapes of the players. What and their surroundings. Fear of the unknown. I don't know, I feel like fear of the unknown can also contradict the show not tell. Because like in some cases, like maybe it shouldn't be like too clear what's going on. I gotta rethink that as well. Fear of the unknown, I think I do want it to be a pillar. In that case, world they cannot see clearly must overcome challenges. Really so the player needs to navigate a world they cannot see clearly. Challenge is based purely on the limited what's the best word here? Based on the limited view that the player must be cautious, also be fearless. Must be cautious yet fearless in order to successfully fearless in order to solve puzzles. Phrase this. Well, I'm overthinking. Really. And I just don't full cautious. Maybe that's a good enough sentence. maybe some bullet points. So, what kind of examples can I give to like illustrate this point further? Sound as a tool. So I should say everything environment has the potential to make sound. Everything in the environment has the potential to make sound. Let the player, for example, what would be another bullet point? Sound as a tool. So everything in the environment has the sound that the player can their advantage. Here are the unknowns. Players must all the need available to them in order maybe I can use the word discovery. Maybe that's like a better word for it. Cool. Environment discovery. Player. By soul. The word slowly is the right word. By slowly down. I feel like I'm using the word navigate a lot as well. I don't know if like it should be that redundant. Clearly I must have challenge based purely on the limit. Slowly mapping out level. Sound. Player can solve puzzles. Gotta look for navigate. I already have one. I've already Googled this because I feel like I've asked this already. Solve puzzles. Avoid danger, like written before. So the player needs to explore a world they cannot overcome challenge based purely on the limited view. Go into the slowly mapping out level to use the sound of player, solve puzzles, avoid danger, and navigate. So players must use all the tools made available to them in order to learn Show Not Tell, I think, is a pillar at the moment. Sound as a tool and discovery, I think, is good. Maybe we'll keep Show Not Tell, and we'll just ask kind of for feedback from the people helping out. Get their opinions on the matter. Or two. Out there. Using these tools. Maybe I can say sound can have holistic property. I can imagine some interesting like mechanics or features where, like, you know, the making of sound can like build bridges or like some meat that aren't grounded or realistic, but still allow for help, you know. Yeah, again, Show Not Tell. Show Not Tell, maybe discovery. Another point is like not everything. Not everything. Not everything is as it seems. Players will slowly learn more about this world. Maybe that's a good to like guide level design decisions. I'm not sure. Show Not Tell. Strong shapes and at the forefront of environment design. Players should understand their surroundings. The players not should, but players must understand. Players must understand. I want to say like how must understand how the world works. So the players must understand how the world works out explicitly told or given. Players must understand how the world works without explicitly be told or given. Strong shapes and silhouettes. Players must understand how the world works out. Told. Yes. I'm not too happy about those pillars. But maybe they're okay for first pass. I definitely get feedback on it. Because yeah, the first one I'm super confident on. Sound is a tool. Yes, we want to be at echolocation. Everything produces sound, so you're able to see where you are and to how to solve puzzles and that. But I feel like maybe I'm wasting a bit too. That maybe like I discover that prototype sucks. So I think I'm gonna get feedback from people about these pillars, but I'm gonna start mapping out what do I want to achieve with this prototype. I'm gonna make a so echo relocate prototype. Oh, definitely want to list out goals. Goals. So, like the main goal that I kind of want to discover with the prototype: can players navigate an environment with such limited view? What difficulties? What challenges they face? Simply concentrate from simple platforming challenges. Question. Echo relocation program. Players navigate an environment with such a limited. I don't know if the word limited view is even the right thing. Maybe say like with abstract view. What else do we want to get from this prototype? How can we use dynamic objects for the environment? To produce sounds how can we use dynamic objects or the environment to produce sounds and contribute for puzzle solving, platforming? I guess we first slowly have to like figure out how this echolocation would work. It's gonna be a very nasty prototype, I would imagine, just because I'm not that good of a programmer. We're just gonna have to figure this out as we go. How we can, like, how do we even create like a dark environment? Slowly expose it with like sound like that. how do we do that in interesting ways? You know, like half the battle is like the visualization of it, but we have to do a quick, dirty prototype to see if it would even work before we even dedicate ourselves to even more hell, you know. So how can we use it? Blah blah blah. Which results lead to most interesting puzzle? That's kind of like the questions I want to answer. We have our design pillars again here. Not totally satisfied with them. Gonna get feedback on that. But the Echo relocation prototype, I think this is enough. I really should just get started on the prototype. Try to figure out how to actually create this mechanic through using Godot. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. Probably maybe sometime next week, maybe this week, depending on, because tomorrow I want to work back in the gas course project. I don't want to jump into this again, but I need to start it, and I know I should have a Myro. So untitled doc. I don't doc. Refresh that. Does it fix it? Have Myro. We have the fear gauge and brainstorming, mind map stuff, Kanban framework, blah blah blah, flow charts, visual tables. I think we're just gonna do a blank board. Name this so project Echo. Okay. Project Echo. Echo. Location prototype. I'll link this in as well. Am I able to link this? Maybe if I upgrade it to like the max version, it would let me link it in ways, but that's enough. Before I forget, I'm going to send full the design pillars document. I should share in a proper way. He's in there. Page. Send it to my other friend here. Hey, how's it going? Yeah, sorry, my stream chat is kind of broken. I can't really see anything. But yeah, what's up? I sent you a message, by the way, if you want to check out the design pillars that I've been working on the stream. I definitely would like your opinion there, Casper. Because yeah, at this point, I don't want to waste too much more time designing in a vacuum. This is like such a big such a balance that I have to do. Where like there's a time to design and there's time to implement. I'm just wondering, is this enough time to actually try to move forward with? Should I just move forward with the mechanic and try prototyping it before I even begin time? Because if we find out this mechanic sucks, then you know we're kind of done. We're back to square zero, or square one. So I think that's gonna be our goal to do this prototype. So I think what I'll do at the I'll at the very least create the project in Godot. So we want to say, yeah, new project, so we're going to just say echo patient prototype folder was browse and users Devin document crazy like here's Godot sample project. I think I can do it. New folder project echo current folder, yeah, echo project type version control meta. I gotta learn how to use GitHub in the context of Godot at some point, maybe not for the prototype. Edit. Okay, so here's our project, or the prototype, I should say, before jumping in too much. So yeah, 2D, and then yeah, we just gotta remember everything that we kind of learned with Godot. But like, I already immediately have a couple of different questions, like how do I even set up a scene that can then just be kind of exposed with like something generated from sound, you know? Like, do I have to have like 2 layers? Like or multiple layers? Like the front layer is black, and then as you're making sound, have removes that part of the screen so you can see it a little bit. I am curious. I think we'll have to just jump into it next time. We've already been streaming for about an hour. Maybe I can look into a couple minutes. Go how to show parts of a level dark. So making dark and lit areas. That's probably what I would need to look into.
Hello and welcome back to the channel.
Because yeah,
that's taking a look at how to implement.
That's definitely what I need. Let's grab that. References here. The light and darkness in Godot 3.2. Light detection 4.0. Force out player character with flashlight. How to add darkness might be a good starting point too. So I'm making a 2D top-down shooter game, and it works perfectly if I had some game. But I wanted to make a stage dark. A light would follow the hero, and players would be able to see a certain amount of the area. Can you tell me how to do this with blue or something? References. Yeah, 9 times out of 10, these things have already kind of done. But it's good that we can rely on using resources. So yeah, I think this is going to be a good jumping off point. I know what we need to do for the prototype. Add a table. Three by 3. Prototype checklist. So feature name, status, I guess. Column. Or now I know more or less like my prototype list. It's empty, of course. We created our project. We have references here. So I think at the very least what I need to do is have a character running around in an environment that I can see. And then we'll worry about this like darkness. Because I do like this tutorial has like, well, you can see it, but you can see like it's like a 2D version of a light flickering. So that's kind of the vibe going for. Maybe that will be enough to build mechanics off of, you know? So yeah, that's where I think I'm gonna end it for today. We got our project, everything's a-okay there. So thanks everybody for watching. Hopefully the stream quality is okay. I was messing around with some settings, so hopefully the audio quality is okay. Hopefully the background music isn't too loud, and hopefully next time the chat will be working and connected. I'll have to play around with that a little bit more. Great, don't worry. Awesome, good to know. Yeah, I forgot to even I should have started playing stream avatars and stuff. So people can see something playing around in the corner, but we'll save that for another time. So yeah, thanks again for watching, and have a good night. I'll see you soon.